All right, we're back. The Success for Life podcast. I don't know what episode it is now, but it's 100 and something. I don't know. We might be almost 120 now. I am here with a special guest. We're diving into the medical field here. We're Dr. Douglas Steinbrech. We're really going to talk about a really, really interesting approach to building his medical practice. Really tackle the niche-based thing. So very entrepreneurial. And that's why we have them on. That's why we have these great guests on. They're always everybody's always a little bit different and have their own niche, and which makes it so exciting. Welcome, Doctor, to the Success for Life podcast.
Thanks so much, Coach. It's good to be here.
Yeah,
and I'm excited to talk a little bit about men's aesthetics today.
absolutely. And so I'll let you dive right into. Just give everybody a little bit of your background.
Sure.
Maybe your education, and then how you got into male aesthetics as your focus.
Got it. So I was born, back in Iowa in the Midwest, small like one-horse town. Really loved my background, loved my family, but it was time for me to go to medical school and then get some training. So I came out to New York, to NYU, and I loved the artistry and the creativity with plastic surgery. So I decided that's what I wanted to do. And I started my practice, and this is where it gets interesting. I said, hey, I want to do women's facelifts, and I want to do their mommy makeovers. So I set up a little office, Park Avenue, very fancy. And I opened up the doors, and it was like, put out a shingle. If you build it, they will come. And when I did all this training, everything, I opened up, it was crickets, nothing. No, I was like, hello, anyone out there? And I was really frustrated. And after all this work, getting in medical school, doing all this training, all these long nights in the hospital, I thought, what's going on? Am I a bad surgeon? Am I a bad person? Am I a bad doctor? Am I a bad surgeon? No, I had good training, really one of the best places at NYU. And then I started working with the guys. And what happened is things just really took off. And that's when I realized what you need to do in life. One of the things you need to do, especially as an entrepreneur, I know there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there, you got to find, you may be busting your head against a wall, and you got to find a unique niche. And that's what I found. Thank God. Thank the Lord. I found something that was different from what everybody else was doing. And since then, after that, every time everybody goes to the right, I go to the left. And that's where it started all.
It's so interesting, and I think that's one of the common themes of everyone we've interviewed, and from a business standpoint, is they had sometimes it's stumble and fail, and to get to where you got to go on your path, and obviously you found a unique niche that if exactly what you did. Most people would think, okay, if I'm going to start a medical practice in plastic surgery and aesthetics, you go after the females. They're all that's where, and you had crickets in that area, and you were adaptive enough to realize, okay, let me kind of move in a different direction. What kind of anything in your training, that helped you to kind of go in a different direction so quickly and be able to gain that great success?
It was just a natural thing. What I was doing is, I started to have a lot of my buddies, they want to have their abs done. So I do it, and they're like, that's great. Do you put in a pec implant? I thought, well, I've never really done it. Nobody taught me that. But I figured out, I know the anatomy and make the incision, throw in the implant, look great. Then I started doing bicep implants. Then I started making my own ab implants, forearm implants. Then we do bicep, tricep, quad, glute implants, calf implants, everything. And then I got so excited about it, I went and bought an implant company. So it just started to snowball. But the genesis of it was when I was starting to see more and more men. My office manager, she said, Dr. Steinbrech, you've got something here. We need to educate. We need to do a website. So I created a website just for men in New York. And that's when things just exploded. It was an educational website, but then we started seeing so many men, and we had great before and afters. And we made mailplasticsurgerynewyork.com. And then I figured, like, I always knew I was a hard worker, but I had nothing to work on because there was just so many people up and down. Right behind me is Park Avenue. Up and down Park Avenue doing the same facelifts, the same mommy makeup, same tummy tucks, the same breast augmentation. And there's just, everybody was fighting over the same dog. That's what they call the red ocean. I found my blue ocean, and nobody was there. Nobody wanted to deal with the men. And they just came storming into my office. So what we did is we saw it blow up in New York. We took the same website. We took down the New York buildings, and we put up palm trees and a Beverly Hills sign up. And we started the website. And sure enough, the phone started ringing in Beverly Hills. So I went out there, and my business partner said, hey, go out there and I love him. He's a great business partner. He said, go out there and give it a shot. Worst case scenario is you can take your family out and have some fun. And I said, I'm not going to go out there to have some fun. I'm going out there to kill it. So I went out there, and now it's been 5 years. And just last Saturday, good practice. You see like 3 or 4 consults. That's really great. Good. Last Saturday, we saw 15 consults, and we have 90 consults on the books for the next 3 months. So we're doing really well, and we're doing flush with surgery. So I'm able to pick and choose really the best candidates, really the best people for the right surgeries. And so it just blew up. And now I trained a fellow for the Chicago office, and you got to invest in these things, but you gain confidence, but then you got to invest in these things. And so I invested in a fellow who's great, Dr. Gonzalez. We just opened up in Chicago, Alpha Male Plastic Surgery, Chicago, and we're in this beautiful tower. It's right on North Michigan, right above, if you're in Chicago, right above the Neiman Marcus. It's prime. They call it the Viagra Triangle, because that's where all the businessmen are. So we're on the 21st floor overlooking the John Hancock building. It is just beautiful. So it's just hard work, but really, when I was just doing women, this is a key thing. I wanted to work so hard, but there was nothing to do. There was no substrate. There was nothing to do. It's like you're working at a factory and you're standing in front of the conveyor belt, and you want to work so hard to do this, but nothing's coming down the conveyor belt. And now it's like drinking water out of a fire hose. I'm just trying to keep up.
Well, I think that the evolution, especially you had mentioned before we came on, you're about 12 years in. That first mover advantage you have is a huge component in business. First mover advantage, and I think they teach you in business school, but people don't realize how important it is if you have a niche industry. If you're the first person in that area, in that marketplace, makes a huge difference. And you don't always have to be the first, but the first to dominate is the best way to put it, right? Yeah. There might be someone that was in there doing something, but you were the first to really go and dominate, and then you start to develop your marketplace. Many years ago, when I first started my camp business, we were doing a unique thing within football camps, even though there's been a million football camps since the beginning of time. But we were doing something unique, which was the combine testing. This is a long time ago. And we had and we specifically focused on not the older kids, but the kids like in 9th, 10th grade. And we had a 6-year run before we had any competition. That's amazing. And that was the key to building our business, and sustained us through when everyone jumped into the marketplace. Then everyone realized there was a marketplace there, but it sustained us because we still had first mover advantage. So we were able to ride that wave, sure, as it invariably comes when competition comes in. What are some of the things that, as you're 12 years in, as competition comes in here and there in different marketplace, they see your success and they say, well, I can do that.
Right. What you need, what I find you need is you need to always innovate. And the great entrepreneurs have never worried about the competition, because they know once the competition gets to you, you've already moved past it and you have the next idea. So one of the things was to go out and buy an implant company. Because what I was doing, I was writing a textbook. We wrote a textbook with I'm the lead editor. But then we have 68 other authors, best authors from around the world for plastic surgery, just about men's plastic surgery. This is the first major male plastic surgery textbook. So I needed credibility. So I'm not just some charlatan out there. So they speak at the national conferences. I'm an educator. I'm on the board for our national society because I'm passionate about education. So you have to have credibility. That's one thing. Then you have to be a hard worker, but then you have to innovate. And I created a company called Alpha Aesthetics, or Alpha Male Aesthetics, which I wanted to innovate and create new products and bring them to the marketplace that can make this new booming area, men's aesthetic surgery, do better and for people to get better results. And I didn't keep it. The other thing is, I know there are a lot of entrepreneurs that are on there. A lot of people don't tell people about their idea because they're afraid someone's going to steal it. You got to let go of that. No one's going to steal your idea. What you have to do is put something out there. And if you work on it, people, if they're really good entrepreneurs, they've got their own stuff they're working on. And I never realized it. Since I started doing more entrepreneurial things, I spend fewer times with like old friends. I love my old friends, but I spend more and more time with people who are thinking about business things like I am. And I've made a lot of really cool friends that they don't care about, they're stealing my idea. I don't even have to sign an NDA. They are more interested in hearing how another business person thinks, and they want to share their ideas. They want to discuss it. And I've made many new friends. I used to think that businessmen were just selfish and egomaniacs and all they care about themselves. I've met so many amazing, generous, wonderful, open people that have helped me with my business plans and wanted nothing out of return for me. They just thought it was interesting because they have an entrepreneurial side and a mind, and they're very interested and like discussing those things. So don't be afraid of your plans, and don't hide them away and do the mental masturbation thing and keep it in that same business plan you've been working on for 10 minutes and you haven't moved at all with it, because someone else will do it. And then the other thing is, if you work harder than the other person and you stay ahead of them, with our website, we have more content and we have more before and afters because of the innovative techniques that we've developed and because of branding, because of IP. I really feel strongly about branding. When you go onto my website, you will see it all over my website. Everything is alliteration. It's all TTTs, AAAs, total torso transformation, or 270 torso tuck. Everything's got PPPs, male model makeover. It's got to have a ring to it. And then you have to get a TM on it or a registered trademark. And I'm very strong about it because one of the greatest things that I get really excited about is when you're talking about something and you think nobody understands it. And then somebody comes in and my business or my patient coordinator comes running over and says, the patient wrote on the form they want a 270 torso tuck. Because once you have that, once you're using your words, your brands, then you got them, because you have something that nobody else is doing. And then they will call up the competition and say, well, it says you do men's plastic surgery, but do you do a torso tuck or do you do body banking? Body banking is another thing I developed where you take out the bad fat and then we plug it in. We suck it all out of their belly, from their abs, really carve out the abs, but then we don't throw it away. We take it and we put it on your shoulders, make shoulders more beefy, your chest pop and your traps pop, so that a year from after surgery, not only do you have like small waist and big shoulders, a year after surgery, if you're sitting there watching Netflix and having a bowl of ice cream and the carbs and the calories from the ice cream, now they don't go to visceral fat, which sometimes can happen with old-fashioned liposuction where you throw out the cells. Now your shoulders get wider, your chest gets more definition, and your traps pop. And it's all from the ice cream from Netflix. And it really, really works. That's why we have 90 consults on the books.
That is interesting. That just
it really works. Remember what your dad used to say, or grandpa? If it sounds too good to be true, it probably isn't. Well, this is metabolism. It's throwing around cells in a new area. And it really, really does work. That's the magic of it.
That's incredible. For me, obviously, it's the first time I've heard anything that is really, really incredible.
Yeah.
I thought you touched on a couple of really, really, really interesting things. So putting it out there, not being afraid of competition, I think is a huge thing. And I found myself, that's always kind of been my approach. And now I didn't, when I did it, I was just like, hey, I can't worry about all these other things. Right. And I can't tell you how many times over the years people have hey, so and so is a competitor of yours, and I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I didn't even know that there were certain competitors because I'm so focused on what we have to do
Exactly.
and how we could get better and what we could innovate. And if I see something that's out there, I'm not looking to copy. I'm looking to adapt to what we're trying to do, so it makes what we're doing for our customers better.
Sure.
And I find that so unique and I to what you're doing. I think that's part of what makes it so successful is that you're putting out a really great energy with that, because what happens is competitors aren't they might be gunning for you, but they're gunning for you in a different way, because you're not worried about them. You're worried about being the best that you can be. And that's an important thought process that I think is key for entrepreneurs, is figuring out what is best for your business, what's best for you, and not worrying about what someone else is doing, because you're a unique person. And if you're really in tune with yourself, what your strengths and your weaknesses are, and you can't just go and do what someone else is doing, because you may not have that strength, and you
Right.
may and that's how you adapt your business to what your abilities are. And then your customers, I think, appreciate it, because it comes across. And I call mine, customers, but you definitely calling yours clients and patients. Sorry, patients, and the patients making sure that they feel comfortable with you, because they know, okay, this is real. Like, this is someone I want to be around. This is someone I want to service me. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, one of the things that people can see is, and this is critical, when you're communicating your message to people, people relate to authenticity, and they relate to passion. When they see that I'm passionate, which I am, legit, straight up legit. I love my job. I love the techniques. I love my patients, my staff, my family. I love everything that I do. I feel so blessed that I'm doing what I'm doing. I love plastic surgery. I love creating transformations for people. So I love my job. But people see that because I do a ton of YouTube videos. So it's all, the YouTube video is male plastic surgery. The Instagram is male plastic surgery, which is funny because you think somebody else would have done that 1,000 times. Just those 3 words, male plastic surgery. No one else took it. I was the first one to take both of those for both YouTube and Instagram. But which is another thing. I have a quick one. There's so many things that you think it's already been trademarked. One simple one that I trademarked, in addition to body banking and all these other things, male model makeover, nobody got that. I had this one of those slogan, turn fat to fit. Can you believe it? I just looked up. No one had ever trademarked the phrase turn fat to fit.
That's amazing.
We take the fat and we make you look fit. But anyway, when you look at my YouTube videos, people tell me all the time, they're like, the reason why I came to your practice is I saw how specific you were and you just wanted to do men. And I saw you before and afters are incredible, but it wasn't just that. They saw, when you talk about patients, I could see on your YouTube videos how passionate you are, and it comes through, and how authentic. Because I don't do these YouTube videos. We always talk about 80%. Get it to 80% and get it out. People always wait for perfection. Listen, I'm a perfectionist, but I don't want anything that looks too slick, too overproduced, that looks too commercial-like, because then when we lose people, they don't think we're authentic, and also it takes too much time, too much production to get it to get it out there. And people would rather have something that is less veneered. They'd rather have something that is more authentic, and that I would definitely say compassion, or being passionate about what you do, having that show on your message, and also being authentic. And one other thing I was going to say, what you were talking about before, is if you have your niche, people try and compete with me and what we're doing, and they can't get up to it, because they're either not developing new techniques, or they won't jump off the cliff. I said, this is it. I'm going to do men. I'm going to be known for it. And I'm not afraid to lose the women. In fact, the dirty little secret is I'm doing more women than I've ever done before, when I had the crickets in the office, because I'm known for doing men so well. I used to do women and then do their husbands and boyfriends. Now I do the men and do their wives, and their sisters and their girlfriends. So I'm doing more women just because I do so many men. I just tell them, keep a secret. Don't tell anyone that I did your women's your women's facelift because I want to keep. It's about branding that message. So just make sure if you really want to dive into your own niche, you have to jump off the cliff if you really feel good about it. Because if you keep on trying to hedge and you want to be both, people will never see you as a specialist. I see people try and buy the Google terms for male plastic surgeon, best male plastic surgeon in Chicago or Houston or whatever. As soon as I go to the website, the first thing that pops up is a butterfly over here, and over in this corner there's a flower. Well, you're not going to, people Googled you for male plastic surgery and they see a butterfly and a flower, they're not going to buy your story. Then when they go to the gallery and they see a bunch of women's breasts up and down, they're not going to believe that you really are passionate about men's plastic surgery. So you got to jump off that cliff and really invest in it and really develop it.
Yeah, I think that's critical. And
whatever you do, whatever you're,
absolutely,
if you're doing camps, football camps, whatever you do, if you're going to be unique about that, you really have to I always say like penetrate and proliferate, dominate, because you just want to dig in and you want to dig down in the soil and get those roots out so far that you just choke off the competition because you have such a strong oak that you're doing. And you suck up the water from the ground so that you're always drinking that guy's milkshake.
Well, I love the competitiveness, the depth of the business and how deep you can penetrate into your marketplace, I think allows you to then go into different tentacles. Like you could do women's plastic surgery because people are coming to you because you have become such an expert in something. And if you had gone the opposite route, you wouldn't even have the patience to be able to get there. So I think that's from a competitive standpoint that you end up getting both male and female customers just because you've had expertise and I found that is a critical thing. When your roots go deep in a certain area, people go, well, wait a minute. If you do this really well, if I came in, can you do this for me? Even I know I'm a female, but can you come in and do it? And obviously you have the expertise. It's just that your focus is a certain area. And I think that allows you to do all kinds of then mass levels of customization for different customers in different areas.
Well, that's exactly what we want to do. I want to do all things aesthetic, all male aesthetic. So if we can go into nutraceuticals, if we can go into fitness wear, if we can go into creams, if we can do all these other areas, weight loss, training, all these other anything that has to do with men's aesthetics, men's fitness, men's plastic surgery. This is the platform we want to continue to build that out of.
Talk about technology, and obviously, technology is a big part in your particular medical field.
Yeah.
Obviously, medical fields in general, it's expanding, but what you're doing, like honestly, 15 years ago, this would have never even been heard of, right? So within the male space. So talk about how technology affects your surgery practice and how you see that going in the future.
Yeah, in a couple ways. First of all, people always think of technology as just being, like electro gadgets. Technology can just be the definition of technology is exchange of ideas, sharing of ideas to create a new, better product. That is the definition of what technology is. By me talking to you and you get it, we both get ideas, they come together and we're like, something new is sprouted out. That's the definition of technology. And it doesn't have to be an electronic gizmo that we all think is an Apple iPhone. It can be just a new tool or how we do things. And a lot of times it's like that old thing that need is the mother of invention, So a lot of times people make the mistake. They get a certain gadget and then they try and find a purpose for it. The better way to do it, and people at Stanford found that the better way to do it is to find a need, and then out of that need, find 50 different ways. And they went to a hospital and they're like, how do we make these hospitals more efficient? They start with 200 ideas and they got it down to 50, then got it down to 10. And then they go into the room and they get a team that has a bioengineer, a team that has an entrepreneur, a team that has an investment, a team that has a medical doctor. And they put them all in together a room, one of those whiteboard rooms that you see at Stanford or you see in California, where everybody starts driving. Give me 50 ideas. Then they whittle it down to 10. And so so and so. And then out of that, they figure out what would be the gadgets that then fix that. And a lot of times we end up just getting the gadget first and then trying to push it on people. I found a need. The need was men who want to have men's aesthetic plastic surgery. Then I started to develop all the products that would fit that need. And that's the way you end up doing it. And so some of the things that we found are just tools. And one of the tools was, I was like, damn, I see these guys that other people would do their abs and they'd have like, their abs are sculpted. You see them at the beach and there's not something quite right. They have all these polka dots going up and down. Those are the scars. And the doctor just make an incision and then go like that and then make another incision. And they're like stuck like a porcupine. And they sometimes, if they have darker skin, they can have hypertrophic or even keloids running up down. Nobody wants that, and it looks really bad. So I created these. I said, I got to figure out something. So I created these naturally curved cannulas that can go underneath the skin and then pop up and then curve over. So everything from the belly, so I can sculpt your abs and even do abdominal highlights. I can sculpt your abs, and all the incisions are hidden in your belly button or hidden underneath your swimsuit. And through these specially shaped cannulas or round cannulas that go around the side of your body, I make fewer incisions. And that is technology to that. The other thing is implants. We are always making, and this is so ridiculously stupid. You got to hear this. They've only made implants that are made of one set of firmness. You a man, you a woman, you a caveman. I make implant for you, and it's going to be like this. No, women are softer tissues. Men have firmer tissues. So my company, if you can believe this, in 2021, we made the first set of implants that were made for women because we have the men. And we said, hey, women want softer tissues. They don't want something that you can feel in your tushy or anywhere else in your body. So we're the first company to make an implant that's a softer implant that's designed for women. Or if men want softer, they can have it. But people have always made the same firmness for men and women. No one has ever done that. So that's technology.
That's interesting. And as far as when patients come in, how do they embrace when you start talking about, so like, someone comes in for the first time, they think they saw, they read maybe your articles and they said, okay, this is interesting. I might want to do something here. How does that approach happen with them? Because I'm sure most of the patients are, at least their first time, are fairly unfamiliar with the process as a male. How do you get them to understand that this is specifically for them and different than what, the female process is?
First of all, it's having a staff around you that we train for men. So men and women are different. And I love both of them. I love women. I love men. And I'm going to make some gross generalizations, not sexist, but I'm just going to say trends that we see with men. And we find that men tend to want to make a decision right then and there. Men tend not to be shoppers. They tend not want to check. Women are very careful with checking things out. Women are very smart. So they'll go up and down and look at 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 different plastic surgeons. Men don't want to do that. Men don't want to go and look at 15 different car lots. They've seen that Mercedes dealership on the corner of 56 and Park. They knew that when they got their big raise, when they worked and busted their tail off, stayed up late at night, came in early, hit all their quotas, they were going to get that big bonus that holiday season. And they've been walking across by that Mercedes dealership, or now that it got replaced with a Ferrari dealership downstairs, they know they have their eye on that. And they're going to walk in that afternoon. They're going to pick out the color, and they're going to get the keys for it, and then it's going to be delivered. And they want to have it done. They've been waiting for this day. Men are the same way with plastic surgery. They've already done the research. And a lot of men particularly men in business, they want like the best consultants. So they'll pay more money for a good consultant. And then this is what they do. They back up, they trust them. They don't micromanage them. They don't say, listen, I want my incision like this, and behind I want it done like this, and then on the left side I want it done like this. No, they say, I researched you. I know you're the go-to guy for men's plastic surgery. That's what Forbes calls me. I know you're the go-to guy. I trust you. I've seen my buddies have gone to you. I'm not going to second. You're going to be my consultant. I'm going to treat you like that. We're going to pay you a little bit more because you're the expert. And then they back away and let you do your thing, and they trust in you. That's the way CEOs, that's the way COs, CCOs, I call it C-level plastic surgery. C-level plastic surgery. They treat you as a consultant. They back up. They hire you. Then they let you do your own business because they don't have the time to do it. That's the way more men, some women who are in that C-level thing think that way as well. And when I say any of these things, I'm trying to be very careful not to be sexist, but we do see some differences. And same thing for the office, for how we deal with men. We tell men, and I'm the same way. This is very important. I do not care. When I go to a restaurant, I go to a steakhouse, I want the meat, I want the steak cooked the way I want it and brought out warm. I don't care about a sundae with a cherry on top. And I tell my staff, these guys do not care about the cherry on top of the sundae. What they care about is that you heard the order of how they wanted their steak cooked, and that's how they cooked. And if it's not done right, you can't make up with it with a cherry sundae that they didn't even want, right? I could go into a place, and there's a place, if you go in a place and they cut your hair, and 3 people ask you for a Diet Coke, and not a single person brings you a Diet Coke, that's not good service. You might think that you're doing good service, but if you go in a place and someone says, hey, I want to answer all your questions, and when you get home, I'm going to write you an email with a quote, and you're going to get it by the time you get home in your email. And they get home, and it's the email with the quote is in their email box. They like that. That's what they want, rather than 3 people offering to bring their fancy Diet Coke or their fancy drink, and none of them shows up.
What do you do to maintain the high level of customer service? Because obviously, as you grow and you have 3 offices in 3 of the biggest cities in the country. Like you said, you have 90 on the book already, appointments from surgery standpoint, which is a ton. How do you continue to give that same customer service as you may have when you first started and became an expert? How do you be able to do that for your clients to grow?
Yeah, that's the next one. What it is, and it's about being very specific. It's about taking the time for education. A lot of people do consults, and you come in and they'll do a 20-minute consult and then on. We spend an hour and a half with the patient to really educate them. And some maybe an hour, but most of them are an hour and a half to really educate them, really listen to them, and really dig down and dive down to find out specifically what they want and to answer all their questions. And Joseph, who's one of my main patient coordinators, does an excellent job at that. And then the other thing I do is I push back a little bit. I tell them clearly what I can do and what I can't. I tell them about the limitations. And I always, that old-fashioned phrase about underpromising and over-delivering, so that what we want is on reveal day, we play it down, we don't overpromise, we tell them what we are doing and what we're not doing. We have very, very specific communications all the way through, so that when they come out, they're like, wow, you hit it out of the park, doc. I know you really underplayed it, which people know our trick. I know you really underplayed it, but you hit it out of the park. This is what I want to hear. When they take that off, we want to hear you surpassed my expectations by so much. And that's the secret to customer service, by keeping their expectations down and letting them know the challenges. The mistake is to do the opposite. Maybe because our reputation, and maybe because of the hard work that we've done and the websites and the before and afters that we show on the website. Maybe people know they know they're in the right place. But when they get here, I push them back and say, listen, your skin is not the quality of your skin, your age, your diet. Like, there's a lot of challenges here. This is going to be a very challenging case, and I'm not sure we're going to get where you want to be, or I'm not even sure I can do this case. I'm not sure these hands can deliver what you think you can. And by being very clear or saying you're not a candidate, I will do this and this and this, but I will not do that because you're not a good candidate. We're not desperate for surgery. We were very specific about what we do, but I always push back and I under-deliver, because when we open it up, they're like, wow, you really did it. And that's always what we're looking at. And when we deliver that, or when can I do anything for you? Please use my pictures for the website. Please let me write a good review for Google or for whatever website that you want. When they really want that, and they say, and also for my staff, it makes me cry when they say your staff was really amazing. They didn't miss a beat. They crossed all their T's. They dotted all their I's. That is what we don't always get it perfect. We don't always get it right. We try the best we can, but most of the time we can deliver on what we promise.
Very interesting. Now, the number one product, like someone comes in, what is the most requested product that you guys have?
Dudes?
Yeah.
It used to be body banking and abs, and then body. So, the ladies have with Brazilian butt lift, right? So they used to just throw away the fat. Now they throw away the fat, and what would happen? Women would come back with a big gut, like 9 months pregnant. That's because remember that bowl of ice cream makes their tummy come out. Now that they plug it back here with the Brazilian butt lift, which I also do, then now the women stay skinny here because it all goes to the tushy, and they're like, hey, the doctor is a hero. I do the same thing with the men. It goes into the shoulders and the traps. The shoulders just get bigger, but their waist stays tiny. So body banging used to be the most requested one, along with the male model makeover, taking away the fat from here, taking the fat away from the cheek, and really sculpting that jawline. And we have a ton of videos on YouTube for a male model makeover. Now the most frequent one really is getting to be our torso tucks, because all the guys come in and they have a nice butt, they have nice legs when they turn 30 or 40. But what happens is they develop that muffin top. That muffin top comes around. They look like a mushroom, right? And it's not their butt or their legs. They look pretty good. For the women, they need a whole body lift. They got to bring up the pants. But for the men, it's about tucking the shirt into the pants, not about bringing up the pants. So for them, what we do we're doing a lot more our torso tucks. And that's taking all that excess fat that goes around the middle, that whole muffin top, taking all the fat out. But that's not enough. Now we have the skin is just after 20 years is hanging over the belt. We have to take out all that skin. We usually do a 270 or we do a 360 torso tuck. Because what was happening, Coach, is people were coming in. The guys are coming in. I do all the liposuction. And they're like, Doc, you didn't get all the fat out. I still have a little bit in my belly. I have a little bit back in my flanks and my love handles. And I said, sorry, dude, that is excess skin. We got to tuck that down. And they go, okay, I don't care. I don't care. Whatever it takes, just do it. So I said, it's going to be a scar. And they're like, I don't care. I'll tattoo it. I have hair, whatever. But I want that to come down. And this is one of the kickers about men's plastic surgery that no one ever realized is women will freak out if you give them an incision around there. Men don't care. Men, they got their own thing going on. They have their own job. They have their own salary. They have their own, they're the boss of themselves. Women do not. It's not women. It's society's emphasis on women and them to accept other people's opinion. That's a problem. That's not a problem with women. That's a problem with society on women.
Right.
But men will give a hoot. They're like, I don't care if I have a scar. I'll tattoo it. I'm hairy. Who cares? I want to look great in the bathing suit. Go ahead. Give me that torso tuck. Toss it in. If I have a problem, I'll just tattoo. I don't care. Those things women don't want to do. That's why we're busting the seams with men's plastic surgery, because they don't care about that stuff.
That's so interesting. It's mind blowing how you built this business and how you continue to like dominate the industry from that standpoint. And I love your competitiveness, because the goal is to win. And yes, and in your case, to crush.
We must crush them.
Very cool stuff.
Good way.
Really, really cool stuff. Really interesting. I definitely have to do a follow up with you in the future. Tell people where. First, show your book again so they can take a look at that. And from
Amazon Prime.
There you go.
And these are all my patients.
Oh, that's interesting.
These are all my patients And I'll tell you why is because the publishing company was like, got really scared. Everyone's like, all this hashtag me, this, me, that, and everything. And people are really getting so freaked out about, because, you know,
Too much. Yeah.
I love good lawyers, but God bless, you know, the United States, we're a little bit, we love to sue people, like a little too much, like back off, let people lead their lives. So our publishing they were so scared with even with stock photos that someone would have a problem being on the front of the cover. So I said, hey, I'll reshoot the whole thing at great expense because I'll put on real patients and my patients and get their consents, and we're all good. But people can find me to answer the question at Instagram at Male Plastic Surgery or Dr. Steinbrech. DM me. I love to meet new people, see all of our great before and afters and all of our techniques, and me talking about plastic surgery on men's plastic surgery. We'll see you in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills. We'll see you in New York on Park and 56. We'll see you in Chicago on North Michigan. And then you can also see us on Facebook at Male Plastic Surgery.
Perfect. I mean, those are 3 premier places to be able to come see us. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, people learning from the medical field and what it takes to be able to be successful there. And we'll have to have a part 2 at some point to dive into what it took to become the doctor that you are now, because it's definitely a lot of years of hard work to get to that point. But it's really great stuff. Go visit Doctor on Instagram, have a conversation with him, go see him. After hearing all this, I mean, I may have to go see him myself at some point in the future. As I start to get older, I have to go see him at some point in the future. Great stuff, and I thank you so much for coming on the Successful Life podcast.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time.
Oh, good. Thank you. All right. So for Coach Schuman for Success for Life podcast, we'll see you soon next time. You can find us iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. We're everywhere. So just look up Success for Life podcast. Till next time, Coach Schuman signing off.